Okay, welcome to the public hearing, continuation of the Orange Avenue zone change. Thank you all for coming out this evening. I would just like to make a brief statement and then we will begin the hearing. Early this afternoon, I had a phone conference with Dr. Adams, the superintendent of the Ranpo Central School District, as well as Teresa DeFalco, who is the president of the school board. They informed me that there has been no agreement reached between Orange Avenue Associates and the school board at this time, but it is their intention to continue to negotiate a pilot. So they did say that the numbers were far apart, that they are coming closer together, and their wish is to continue to negotiate with Orange Avenue. The Goldsteins have given me the indication as well that they are, and correct me if I'm wrong, Josh, also willing to keep the negotiations open with the school board. So at this time, there is no agreement with the school board. It has been my belief, and still remains my belief, that there should not be a vote on the zone change until such time that an agreement is reached with the school district. And that I cannot support the project without the support of the school district and an agreement with them that they believe is beneficial to the school district. So that being said, I know that everyone came out for the hearing on Wednesday and were quite disappointed that we did not have the opportunity to let everyone speak. I just want to clarify with you, the only reason I did that is because the school district indicated to me that there was a new proposal on the table and that they did not have a chance to fully review it. So I felt that we should at least have the benefit of them reviewing that proposal, and there may have been an agreement made with the school district. Unfortunately, that did not happen. So tonight we will go forward with the public hearing. But again, there was no agreement reached as of this evening. At this time, I'm going to I'd like to introduce Josh Goldstein and Jeff Goldstein, who are here on behalf of Orange Avenue Associates, as well as Ira Emanuel, their attorney. I'm going to ask Josh if he would like to speak before we open the hearing. So Josh, please. Okay, Ira Emanuel will speak.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor, just one more point with respect to the pilot agreement, and then we'll move on to the zone change. We made a counteroffer to the school board, meeting with their representatives for about almost 2 hours on Wednesday morning.
Can you just speak into the microphone? Yeah.
Meeting for almost 2 hours on Wednesday morning. They took that information. We have not heard back from them at all since that time. So it's not a matter, I don't want to leave the misimpression that we've been negotiating without being able to come to any agreement. We've made a proposal, we haven't heard anything back. So it's on the school district and has been on the school district since Wednesday. With respect to tonight's public hearing is actually the continuation of a public hearing with respect to the zone change. It is not a public hearing with respect to the pilot agreement, the financing, or any other aspect of this application. We're not here to talk about the road system, the parking lot, all of that sort of nitty-gritty. That's for the planning board. The pilot obviously is with the school district. We're here to talk about the zone change and the impact of the zone change with respect on the village of Suffern, and the impact with respect to the particular properties that are involved. Just so that everybody is aware, and I'm sure you are anyway, this is a property that is on Orange Avenue at the corner of Chestnut Street. It has been a number of different things, but way back in the 1920s, among other things, a good portion of it was a battery factory. And that battery factory back in the 1920s acted like a battery factory in the 1920s, and they didn't very much care about the things that they threw away. As a result, the ground at that property is now contaminated with lead and mercury. That's one of the things that needs to be cleaned up in order to prepare this site for use. Another thing that needs to be cleaned up, of course, is the old green room. And I know that you had a ceremony for your police officers here just before this public hearing. and unfortunately, many of them will spend many hours at that location trying to deal with the folks who live over there. But irrespective of that, we need good rental housing in Suffern and in Rockland County, and that is the purpose of this project. So with that, I'd like to introduce David Smith. David is our planning consultant. He worked with your village staff, and we've worked with your planning board to put together the proposed zone change that is the subject of tonight's meeting.
Thank you, Ira. Excuse me, we have one of the trustees who have a question.
Ira, last Wednesday night, I brought up the subject of the town board had, passed a resolution which basically had tied the hands of the school board, or at least that's what I was reading in the paper. And I understand that Orange Avenue Associates has somehow disengaged from that, the ruling of the town board. Maybe if you could explain what happened there.
Well, no. The commitment that we have made to the school district was that we want to enter into an agreement with the school district.
Okay.
Assuming that we enter into that agreement with the school district, and I assume that we will, okay, then we will disavow the agreement with respect to with the town.
Okay. That was like very important to me, and I appreciate that. Thank you.
All set?
Yeah, go ahead.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the board, members of the public. For the record, David Smith, Principal with Planning and Development Advisors. We're planning consultants to Orange Avenue Associates, and we've been working with them over the past several years on the site planning and the preparation of zoning for this particular application. This project actually has a fairly long history in the village. To summarize, the village back in 2007, 2008 underwent a planning process that evaluated a number of properties along Orange Avenue. They prepared a downtown Suffern Orange Avenue designation study, and in the beginning of 2009 adopted an urban renewal plan which called for redevelopment of the approximately 1.5 acres that are being considered as part of this zoning application. The proposal calls for the creation of a new zoning, would be consistent with the urban renewal plan and that designation. The legislative intent of the proposed zoning, which would be called a Transit Development District, or TDD, calls for redevelopment of deteriorating and underutilized properties with residential and limited commercial uses, designed to serve local area residents, to create new housing opportunities within the village, to provide support to downtown retail and service establishments in the adjacent downtown, to help support the use of and environmental surrounding of the New Jersey Transit Suffern Station, to enhance aesthetics and overall image of the project area, to generate positive trend in neighborhood real estate values, to improve public safety, and to help generate economic activity. The proposed zoning was submitted actually last year, I believe in August. It's been to your planning board for review and comment. It's been to the Rockland County Planning Department, again, for review and comment. And the zoning has been modified to reflect comments raised by both of those boards and members of the public. The initial proposal called for 121 units, 111 units. The density has been reduced to 92 units. That's 91 units plus the superintendent's unit. The building height has been reduced. It was, was six stories. We're now down to 5 stories. So that and development coverage in the zoning was at one point was 100%. It's now at 80%. So as the project has been modified, it's been modified to be reduced in scope and scale. Parking on site, there's 121 spaces provided on site. It's a ratio of approximately 1.31 for every unit. Given that this location is approximately 500 feet from a mass transit station, we think that's a reasonable ratio for that type of development. However, there were comments made by the planning board that suggested that perhaps a ratio of 1.5 be used. And I think the language now reflects that there is an opportunity to provide off-site parking in village-owned properties or in other properties that may be available to satisfy the 1.5. And I think it's approximately 19 spaces that needs to be provided. As I mentioned, the total acreage for the proposals, approximately 1.5 acres located at the corner of Chestnut and Orange Avenue. Again, to reiterate, the density at 92 units for the project size is consistent with the planning concepts that were forwarded as part of the urban renewal plan. There is an opportunity now that the plan has been reduced in scale to provide for additional landscaping and amenities along Orange Avenue. In addition, I believe that the applicant has also proffered improvements to the underpass that would allow for enhanced pedestrian access, particularly during times of inclement weather. So that's a summary of the proposed zoning. I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Does the board have any questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, would anybody from the board like to speak before we open it up to the public? Okay, so we are going to open the public hearing to the public. I ask that you, there's quite a few people here. I'd like to ask that you come up once to speak. I'd also like to ask that you reserve your comments to something that has not been covered. I would like everyone to get a chance to speak here. My intention tonight was to limit it to 5 minutes, but I really believe that this is a very important issue in the village of Suffern. So I'm going to ask that you are courteous of all that are here tonight, that you keep your comments to a minimum. But of course, let us know how you feel about the zone change. I'd also like to remind you that this is a public hearing on the zone change tonight. It is not to discuss the pilot. We will, of the school district, so I ask that you keep your comments to the zone change for the project. Please, when you come to the microphone, state your name and your address, and whoever's ready to come up to the microphone, please do.
Charles Falsania, 14 Sagamore Avenue. This is such a controversial and emotional and huge project for the village. I'm suggesting that we consider having a ballot referendum.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
A ballot referendum.
A ballot referendum. Okay.
Let the people of the village decide whether they want this or not. I think it's something we should consider. And I'm...
You're speaking for the zone change?
It could be a zone change. The pilot's immaterial. It's for the project itself. Let's keep it to the zone change, or we can expand it. But we can make it the project itself.
No, not really. No.
Okay.
I mean, I know there's a cost probably involved, but obviously costs are seen through rose-colored glasses. You know, we could all of us trot out maybe 100 costs over the last decade spent by the village that weren't very wise. I mean, I could probably sum that up in 3 words: the parking authority.
Okay, Charles. I just consulted with Rob, and although you could do a referendum on it, it is not binding.
A ballot referendum? Why wouldn't a ballot referendum be non-binding?
Well, this board is the one that determines the zone change. So
a vote, if it were approved, it would mean that this board had to approve the zone change. If it was disapproved, it doesn't mean this board would have to disapprove the zone change.
Why is it different than the ward system petition?
I'm sorry?
Why would it be different than the ward system petition?
I'm not familiar with the ward system petition, so.
Well, you haven't heard of the ward system?
No, I'm not familiar with the petition you're referring to.
Well, it was a petition to
I'm
bring
sorry,
about...
I'm sorry.
It's a petition to bring about a
I'm sorry.
referendum. It's not really the ward.
No, I understand. That is a different issue. I thought you meant in the zoning context. In the zoning context, there is not a provision for a ballot referendum to determine a zone change.
Well, what if we have a ballot referendum to determine if we want the project or not? Is there anything to prevent me or anyone in this audience from bringing a petition for the referendum? I'm not trying to give anyone a hard time here, okay? I'm trying to find or talk about a solution. Because there's obviously universal opposition to this. And that's why there's a ward system vote that's coming on September 30th, okay?
Right.
Yeah, I'd also like to see the board pass a resolution supporting the ward system.
Oh, stay on target here.
I am on
I
target.
know you're seizing the moment, but
Hey, I haven't set foot in here for a year, so you should be thankful.
A zone change is not a matter that is subject to a referendum. There are issues that
I
are
heard-
subject to a referendum.
Okay, I heard what you
I
said.
mean,
Is the project, can we go forward and have the referendum on the project itself?
Well, again, if...
I could see everyone's trying to wiggle out of this, but, I mean, this is universally, I understand there's a lot of people who are for that also. And I think that's the fair way to settle this. This isn't, what was that stupid vote we had on the yellow line on Yorkshire Drive? I mean, this isn't that. This is something that has gotten people's emotions up and running. It's the right way to do it. It's the right way to do government.
Referendum. Right. I guess to answer your question, it's not a referendum such as what you're talking about with respect to, with Ramapo. That's something that's provided for in statute, that a petition can be made. There's no equivalent with respect to a zone change.
You can vote for that. You can vote for that.
Well, if I can just finish. The last thing I wanted to say was, what you may be speaking of is more of a poll, so to speak, or, some type of vote, but it's not a referendum which would be binding, on the board one way or the other.
So have a non-binding resolution, referendum, and I'm sure Mr. Goldstein and Mr. Goldstein will abide by it, because I'm sure they want the public behind this building and supporting it.
We should have stayed with the 5.
That's,
okay, thanks, Charles.
I'm finished?
Oh, I don't know, are you finished?
I have one other question. Why did we buy 120 Orange Avenue?
Why did we...
Why did we buy that, 120 Orange Avenue? Why did the village purchase it?
Initially, I think it was purchased because we were going to create more parking in the downtown area.
Okay. We didn't purchase it with the idea that it was speculation, that a developer would come in and someday redevelop it, and the idea behind it was the 322 might become 422?
No, I think we also, that we did want the urban renewal project on the Orange Avenue properties. It was a way for the village to hold on to be able to make that part of the urban renewal project. They would have a building to promote that renewal of that property.
So if we knew there was going to be redevelopment, why didn't we check at that time for a brownfield, or did we?
I'm sorry.
Why didn't we check at that time for a brownfield?
Yes, we did no borings at that time, but you have to understand something, Charles. you know, a cleanup underneath that property, there's programs out there for cleanups.
I fully
So
understand
there's
that.
money out there, so that's not, I don't think that that's a huge component of the whole picture here.
I don't believe it is for one
Right.
bit. I know
So-
Jack threw out an $800,000 figure in the newspaper, and I was wondering where he got that from.
We're way off task.
I don't recall reading that, Jack.
$800,000?
Yes, I think you wrote a letter to one of these local newspapers, and you said the brownfield cleanup was $800,000. Maybe they misquoted you, but
I really don't remember that letter. I'll check when I get home, because I keep all the letters in my computer, but I don't remember, when was this letter written?
right after you changed your vote.
Josh, can you tell us what the total cost of the brownfield was?
No, it's all right. I mean, hey, he has the right to change his vote. That's not
Charles?
fair.
Yeah,
Charles,
I'm gonna tell you.
Can we just, Josh, can you tell us what the total cleanup,
The estimated total cleanup for the
entire, all the properties?
20 Orange, 133, Mr. Shank's property, which is even the main focus of it.
Right.
Totals between $800 to $1 million in total cleanup. So
Okay, that's it, yeah. Now,
not just the 120.
Entire, right. So what Mr. Goldstein is saying is for all the properties that would be used for this project, the cleanup on every property that they would obtain, the total cleanup would be between $800,000 and $1 million.
Okay, I've had enough one-liners for the night. Thank you.
okay.
You did a great job, Charles.
Mayor,
Yes.
Since my vote was brought up, I'd really like to expand on that a little bit, that I switched my vote. Okay? Well, the fact of the matter is this. I'll listen to whatever anyone else has to say, and I hope they'll give me the same courtesy. I didn't vote for, when we had our original vote, I felt that I wasn't well enough informed to make that type of decision. I also felt, my gosh, if the Goldsteins can't get a loan for property development, who could? So I felt I need some expert help on this. And I contacted, this was before we cast our first vote, and I contacted our attorney, Mr. Magrino, and I said, I really need some expert opinion on this. I need someone who knows a lot about the financing of residential housing, has a lot of experience with pilots, this type of thing. And Mr. Magrino recommended an attorney, a law firm from Long Island, who has, no interest in Rockland County, and who could look at this in a, in a fair, an equitable way. And their attorney came, he studied all the papers that the Orange Avenue Associates had put out, and I spoke to him for about an hour, and I said, look at these people, these are the Goldsteins. They have a lot of money and they have a lot of influence. I mean, the New York Times did a story on saying that they're one of Governor Cuomo's largest donors, so that they have a lot of clout in this state.
Okay, please.
Excuse me.
Please.
Excuse me. I don't, I was getting to that. The fact of the-
Okay, please, let's let Mr. Meehan
Okay,
finish.
the fact of the matter is, the village of Suffern paid for the attorney. However,
No, they didn't.
we were reimbursed by the applicant. Now,
Okay, really, sir, I'm gonna have to...
excuse me, I'll explain it. I've been in office here since 1998, and I've listened carefully to
Jack.
people, and I think that's why they keep returning me,
Okay, Jack, relax.
okay?
Let's keep this,
I'm trying to keep it civil, but when we
Let's
have
keep it
people
civil.
shout out like
Okay,
this.
I've asked the
Okay,
gentleman not to,
gonna-
and I'm sure
okay.
he will comply.
Okay. Let me get my terms here. Now, anyway, we were talking about how they were paid. Now, we have for example, there's a village is zoning and planning consultant sits here. And he's sitting here tonight. Now, when this goes through our planning department, he is paid out of an escrow account supplied by Orange Avenue. That doesn't mean he's working for Orange Avenue. That means he's being paid for Orange Avenue. This attorney was paid for by the Village of Suffern, and we were reimbursed by Orange Avenue. So you can say they paid for it, but did they own that opinion? This is a professional attorney. And I asked him, as I said, I had a long conversation with him, because this, very frankly, I like serving in the village, and this decision might cost me my seat. It might. People tell me this is, Charles is my next door neighbor, and he's telling me this is universally opposed. Well, if it's universally opposed, there are very few people here opposing it. Because I know that, just looking at it, I can see a third of the people are in favor. I just know them. And I know there are a lot of people opposed to it. Okay? But my view, after speaking with this expert, and I'm not an expert, was that this project could not go forward without a payment in lieu of taxes. And it's not a matter of subsidizing or a voter subsidizing. This isn't going to happen. We're either going to have the pilot,
Okay,
or
Jack,
we're
we
going to
gotta
have
stay on
nothing.
the zone change, I'm sorry,
Okay.
I'm sorry.
I know we're on
We
the
need to
zone
stay on the
change.
zone change, okay.
Okay. Thank you.
My name is Grace White. I live at 25 Bonnier Circle here in Suffern. I moved here 3 years ago. I am a retired state worker. I am living on my pension and my Social Security that I work very hard for. You're asking me to pay more taxes so rich people can pay less taxes.
Okay.
That somehow
Ma'am.
doesn't sound proper.
Okay, ma'am, we're not talking about the pilot tonight, we're only talking about, this is a public hearing for the zone change only. Okay, so we have to keep our comments to the zone change. The pilot that's happening really is not our pilot, it's the pilot of the school district. So we're not hearing that tonight, we're here to talk about the zone change.
Well, the zone change means I'm going to pay more taxes. Right. So, yes, there is a connection. The zone change means that the money I work so very hard for is going to be paying more taxes. I thought you were elected to represent us, not them. I highly resent the fact that we, the people in the village of Suffern, were not consulted about how we felt about this.
We did. We had many hearings on it. I'm sorry that you weren't present, but we have had many
You
hearings.
didn't have very good advertising in the hearings, because I would have been there.
Yeah,
I
we
promise you, I would have been there.
Yeah, we do
But,
advertise it in the local newspapers, as well as it goes out on the computer, and we also send out phone calls, and text messages, so it was highly publicized.
I want to say that I would like to see something happen, that my taxes won't go up, so a rich person, like a Cuck, or the others, can pay less taxes. I want them to pay the taxes, not me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Hagen LaCourte, Burlington Avenue, Suffern. I think I know most of you up there. You know, this project is, it's really interesting, and it's interesting to the extent of the fact that it's been going on and discussed for a decade, pretty much. And, you know, we're here tonight to discuss a zone change. Unfortunately, I think what's happened is, like many things, and especially here in this county, there's a lot of anger. I mean, there is a lot of anger with what's going on. You know, taxes are high, you know, what's going on in East Ramapo, people are afraid it's going to spread to, you know, to Ramapo Central School District, destroy this county, and look, there's a lot of anger. There's a lot of anger of the people who remain here, and the people who are really angry have left and moved to New Jersey. But, you know, the question remains that we should have an open and honest discussion about this. But I think what's happened is, we have a situation in which people kind of invent their own facts, okay? And I think, while obviously I want to focus on the zone change, what happens is that, you know, you have a situation where if you have an existing building and the taxes are $100,000, and you give them a pilot that cuts the taxes to $50,000.
Hagen.
Then the woman, okay, sorry.
Stay on the zone change.
Okay, fine.
I'm gonna go get the number.
But this is again, Mr. Morris,
The audience,
can you just...
the mayor will run the
Fine.
meeting.
But it was okay when Mr. Felsiglia got up here and talked about a referendum.
I asked him also,
I'm respecting it. Okay.
Enough.
Okay, Jim.
You know, this is again the situation. Fine, you want to talk about the zone change, we'll talk about the zone change.
Thank you.
Okay? Just when someone gets up here and says their taxes are going to go up because of this project, it's not true. But in terms of the zone change, okay, you have a situation in which you have a downtown that for the last 50 years has seen businesses leave. When they opened Interstate Shopping Center and everybody left, and everyone went to the strip malls along Route 59 and Route 17, downtown Suffern died. And that's happened all over this country. An amazing thing has happened in the last 10 years, and especially in the last 5 years. There is a major secular change where people are moving back into urban areas. Shopping malls and strip malls are dying. You know what's excelling right now is foot traffic, town centers. People who want to live in an area, have mass transit close by, shop there, eat there, and enjoy their lives there. So this type of project is great for many reasons. One, Suffern has two major mass transit situations. You have bus and you have train, okay? You also have 20 vacancies in our downtown. So the question is, how do you make downtown Suffern great again? And the way is you need to provide a living opportunity where young people or people who are downsizing can move into this county. When my wife and I moved here, okay, there weren't any rental options. Fortunately, we were able to buy in Bon Air at the time because the market enabled you to be able to put down $10,000 and buy a $250,000 condominium. You can't do that anymore. You have to put down 25%. So if there's someone who wants to stay in Rockland or move to Rockland and wants a good housing option and they're not ready to buy, there's nothing. So the simple plan here is, by building this building, which again, I disagree with Mr. Falsiglia. Yes, everybody in this room is upset about the way it's gone down. They've read, they hear Goldstein's, they hear Cuomo, they hear St. Lawrence, you know, just throw in ISIS and that's all you need, you know? And you know, people have a right to be upset what goes on. But this project has been talked about for 10 years. There have been 5 different developers who tried and failed to do this. I approached the Goldsteins. I asked them to take a look at it. And look, I don't always agree with Mr. Meehan, but the point he made is the most important point. You cannot get money to build a business in downtown Suffern. Banks will not lend in Rockland County. Okay, you have a brand new building that's going next to the Hacienda. Okay, that lot has been vacant for 50 years. Ari Upgang, who's an architect, and Brian Brooker are coming together to build that. The amount of, they had to give personal guarantees. They had to put up their life insurance. Brian Brooker's wife told me, she said, Hagen, if we knew a year ago that this is what we were going to have to do to make this happen, we wouldn't have done it, but we're already committed. So the point is that there's a reason why there hasn't been a new building in the downtown in 40 years. No one has reinvested. So by building this building and attracting people to live in the downtown, what you're going to see is what's happened all over the country in urban areas. Once the people move, and again, we're not talking about making this a city, but a place instead of living in a suburb, like where I live in the village of Suffern, where you have to get into your car and drive everywhere, in an area where you can get out of your apartment, walk to the train station, walk to a restaurant. Once that happens, okay, then what you're going to see is the stores that we've always talked about wanting to have, they will come in. And this is, yes, is it speculative, is it guaranteed? I see Mr. Genser here laughing or whatever it is. You know what? There's no guarantees, but it's working everywhere. Just drive throughout New York City. Crown Heights, which had riots 20 years ago, is the hottest neighborhood in Brooklyn. And I'm not saying we changed Suffern to New York City, but we do have a downtown with 20 vacancies. And what's amazing is you have 2 people who came in. okay, because of this plan when I was mayor. You have Ace Rainbow Hardware Store that came in with the OTB because I sold him a vision of Suffern where his store would succeed and people would walk into his store. He made the investment hoping this project would happen. And believe me, this project will help him. And the same thing I said with Ari Ufgang joining with Brian Brooker to build that building. So those are two people who invested in this village. Did they get tax breaks that are special pilot programs? No. But it comes with its own tax breaks by law that do exist, and they do get a partial exemption for a period of time. So the question is here, to get this building built, a 35-year pilot has to be given. But if you just take those two investments right there, Ace and Brooker and Ufgang's building right here on Lafayette Avenue, if they didn't believe there was an urban renewal plan that was going to involve a project on Orange Avenue, they never would have come here. And the amount of additional taxes that the village is going to generate over the next 30 years from those two projects is making up at least a third of whatever break this developer is getting if the project were built at full taxes, which it couldn't be built at full taxes.
Okay, David, are you almost ready to wrap up? Because there's a lot of people that want to speak.
So the point is that when you see that happen, there's going to be reinvestment. There's going to be a turnover in landlords. People are going to reinvest in the downtown properties that is going to raise assessments and bring in more tax dollars. And you can say it's speculative because that's not what you're focused on doing all day. But if you go online and you look at reurbanization and what's going on in this country, you'll see that this can really work. It's going to make a difference. And for people like me who have young kids, whose house is underwater, who pays the same taxes as you, and my friends who are stuck here, we want to see this happen. Okay? A lot of them can't be here tonight, but they support this project. So the notion that it's universally opposed is just not the case.
Okay,
so, thank you.
Thank you, Dagan.
Mayor, can I interrupt? Mayor?
Oh, I'm sorry. Mr. Hagen would like to make a comment, Mr. D'Antino.
Can I just ask that we do have audience participation at the end. A lot of this might be a good idea to save it. Stick around and give your thoughts on everything later.
Yeah, we do have audience participation, so if you have comments that are not pertinent to the zone change, we do have audience participation still on the agenda.
Jim D'Antino, 2 Memorial. I'm not going to ask for my ex-mayor privilege to speak for as long as I want. I get to the point, you know that.
Yes, you do.
We have a couple of ways we can maybe solve this. I think, and I know Josh, I know his father not as well as Josh. If they want to see this thing go through, turn back the deplorable deal that St. Lawrence wrote into the law and sit down and negotiate with the school district on a level playing field. That's one solution.
Jim?
The second solution is this board can vote tonight not to pass the zone change and with a codicil that they will bring it up when the school district gets a fair deal. I'm not going to go into what the village accepted because Josh knows I wasn't thrilled with that deal. And I gave some alternatives to the board, which he was given. Unfortunately, at the time, he said he couldn't accept them. No one is getting what I feel is a just pay.
You're on the pilot.
No, wait a minute.
You're on the pilot.
He got a half hour, he
talked about the zone.
He spoke about his house being underwater.
Okay, but he's talking about this, he's talking about bringing things into the village under the zoning, so.
Okay.
You have time later.
I'll get back to it.
Get back to the zone.
Is the brownfield considered part of the zoning?
No.
It certainly is. I don't know how you can cut it away.
It's not, Jim, it's part of.
Okay, one quick question and I'm sitting.
Okay.
$800,000, which I don't dispute it's probably going to cost. What is the state and federal government giving you towards the brownfield?
Josh, would you like to answer that?
In the amount of? 25%. So that means $200,000 minimum will be paid by the state. So
He's got to come back.
you're going to realize a $200,000 credit over the years of the project, correct?
$200,000.
Okay.
As every senior citizen building in this county, in this village, gets tax credits.
Yeah, but we're not talking about a senior citizen building. We're talking about luxury apartments.
There's a real estate.
Come on, you know the rules.
But we're talking about luxury apartments, not Section 8 or senior housing. There's a huge difference.
I'm not talking about luxury apartments either, sir.
It's no longer considered luxury?
We're not getting those on the flight.
That's a term of the general units, sir. These are market rate rental units. And I have been saying in front of this board since about a year ago, right?
Yes.
Thank you. And you know that too?
Can you speak into the...
No, I've heard the term luxury apartments for I don't know how long. I don't
Yeah, it
know who
was-
started it.
Jim, in all fairness, they have said market rate rentals.
Okay, that's fine.
And the Journal News did publish luxuries. I think in terms of what the rentals were, the cost of the rentals, I think that they just took it upon themselves to call that luxury. So,
Okay, if that's the case, that's the case.
Getting back in the zone.
Back in the zone.
Back in the zone.
In order to rezone this property, we are creating a transit district, correct?
Yes, transit-oriented.
Okay, I've read the zoning as of the last time it was on the website. Now, if I'm incorrect, please tell me, Josh, you're looking for 5 floors now, correct?
Drop the size of the building.
Okay, the zoning amendment still has 6 floors in it
Because it's average. It's an average.
because of the Chestnut Street side? Okay, then that makes sense. I just wanted to clear that up because it says 6, we might as well pass it for what it is. You know my feelings on this project. It was my idea to begin with 10 years ago, although Hagen likes to take credit for it.
Jim, in the zone. Come on, in the zone.
And I wanted its own condominiums. Thank you.
Thank you. And I think that's it.
Jeff Genser, 32 First Street, Suffern, New York. Good evening, Board. We're talking about a zone change,
We
right?
are, thank you, Jeff.
The zone change to a transit zone was something that originally I actually was in favor of. But if you recall, I questioned the fact that there was a zone change and a developer being shoved down our throat altogether in one fell swoop, as opposed to the normal procedure, changing the zone of something. People who are interested in zone changes would have found out about that, and in theory, there would have been other potential developers interested in this new zone. But that's not what we have here. We have a zone change and a developer with a pilot already given, and this is what's wrong with the project, okay? We weren't given the fair opportunity to first on a zone change and wanted to develop our property in our village. Secondly, there were 2 projects mentioned. The hardware store, guy lays out $4 million plus of his own dollars, working 7 days a week. The village is now raising his real estate taxes by 50%. So we're going to be he's going to be subsidizing the pilot to some degree for a group of developers who have, I don't want to use cliches, but I'm going to use it, more money than God, and it just doesn't seem very fair to me. So my other question about the zone change is this: is the current zoning, would the current zoning on the properties in question allow the developer to build this exact building there, but not allow him to get the tax breaks that he's trying to get? A pilot, all these other discounts with the school district, the town. Could he build a building there with the current zoning as it is, but not get the ability to ask for a pilot or any other discounts? That's about the zone change. Can you answer that for us?
Yeah, he could have, I mean, if it made sense for him to build it with his own financing, he could have.
Okay,
But
thank you.
but
I think.
No, that's not the
So that's the point.
That's not the question.
The building can be built.
No.
Sure it can. And I resent the fact that you opened the meeting and
think I
had
misunderstand the question. Hold on.
developer's attorney tell us what the meeting was about.
Jeff,
We'll talk about what we couldn't talk about.
Excuse me. This is a public hearing for the zone change.
Yes.
I think I may have misunderstood your question. Could you please repeat your question? Could the developer,
As the
because
zone...
everybody's saying no.
As
so-
the zone exists now, as those properties that comprise the area that's called blighted and an urban
Right.
renewal area, as it is presently zoned this second, could he come in, apply for a building permit, and build a 5-story building over there?
No.
The answer is no. Yes.
No.
As it's presently zoned. But I also want to bring something else to your attention, Jeff. You had said that we should have changed the zone prior to,
Yes.
okay. Do you realize, had we have done that, we would have been stuck with the town of Round Post decision for an Article 5?
That's speculation.
It's not speculation, it's the truth.
Well, if that's the truth, then
That
I'll
is the
also
truth.
add a little bit more truth. I came in here, I'm not optimistic about what's going to happen. In fact, I know exactly what's going to happen, because what's going to happen here is exactly what happens every single time we have a public hearing. The decision's long made, and we're here to be patronized. Thank you again, everyone.
Oh, thank you for coming out, Jeff. Would anybody else like to speak on the zone change?
Randy Ortiz, Fairview Place, Suffern, and I also own a business downtown. Next year will be my 20th year in the village of Suffern as a business owner. And I'd just like to say on the zone change, why I think it would be important to grant the zone change for a few reasons. We need a catalyst downtown to change things. And I hear all the time people talking about, and it's been over all the mayors, they're all talking about what we can do. There's been redevelopment committees, there's been sidewalks changed, there's been these little street lights put in, that was going to save the day. There's been all kinds of things that people are going to talk about. But what really is going to change things is to put something in that's going to bring people downtown that have money to spend, okay? Right now, there's 8 places to get your hair cut. There's 8 places to buy lottery tickets. There's 18, I disagree with the 20, there's 18, because I just counted the other day, there's 18 vacant storefronts, okay? Not to mention, above my shop, there's 3 empty office spaces, and across the street from me, above the M&M shop, I believe there's 3 up there. And I'm not even sure, and Provident Bank, I didn't count that. That's also empty, in case anybody hasn't noticed. So, something has to happen downtown. Yeah, I'm not going to talk about the taxes. I want to talk about why we need a zone change. And I think that people have to forward think a little bit and look at how this could possibly benefit, I think this will possibly benefit the residents, the merchants, a lot more than everybody's really thinking about. You know, what's the end result, okay? I want to stay off the tax line. But anyway, I really think this should be approved. The downtown needs it, the merchants need it, and I think it would be good for not only the village, but for the whole, our village is the village for the Ramapo Central School District, okay? It's Montebello's village, it's Airmont's village, it's Hilborn's village, and it's Sloatsburg's village. What happens here affects the whole school district. I had to get that in there. Thank you. I think it should be changed.
Thank you.
How are you? Bob Morris, 24 Terrace Avenue, Suffern. I've lived here 46 years or so. And, you know, as far as the zoning change, every time something unusual has been built down here, the politicians have the same story. We're going to revitalize the downtown. We're going to have people come in and do this, that, and the other thing. And we saw it when they put up Park Place. I don't know if you people even lived here when they put up that. But that was going to revitalize downtown. The apartment complex, that's really quite a mess right now over on Chestnut Street, that was going to revitalize downtown. I guess the question I'd ask the board, has any of you taken the time to figure out and study and see whether or not any of these things have come to fruition? We can keep saying everything we want. Oh, this will improve downtown. But in fact, if there's 18 or 20 stores vacant, as Randy says, and we've put up Park Place, huge multiple dwelling building that was supposed to make life easier for the seniors and older people and people with no children, and again, it's only a block away from mass transit. That was the very same rationale that was used to put up that building. Chestnut Street, again, was a place for working families. Again, a 2-block walk from mass transit. And yet, we have 18 or 20 stores vacant in the building, in the village. So obviously, this rationale isn't working. Maybe we have to look at what the underlying causes are that the downtown is being vacated. Maybe it's because the average working people can't afford to live here anymore. That's probably our biggest problem. As far as this project goes, somebody mentioned about changing the zoning. You said you had problem getting developers, and I have no doubt you're absolutely right. If somebody looks at what he has to go through to change the zoning, unless there's a strong monetary benefit to him, he's not going to go through this. If we really wanted to do this, and we wanted an open competition to get the best bang for our dollar, we would have changed the zoning to something that everybody could have agreed upon, whether it be 4 stories, 60 families, whatever, and put that out to a bid, and I'm sure you would have had a number of developers. If we didn't have a number of developers and we only had one, well, then so be it. That would be the process. But over here, we're doing something kind of ass backwards. I'd seriously consider that, hold your thoughts on this zone change, and let's see if we can work out something better. All these reasons are not valid.
Thank you, Bob.
Yes, we did. Yes. Are you going to answer that?
If you want,
Hello, Jean Connolly, 135
Okay,
Avenue.
excuse me 1 second, I'm sorry, Jean. Trustee Corrigan, Deputy Mayor Corrigan would like to make a comment.
Part of what you were discussing was about us, the village, going out and requesting developers to come in with our requirements, and we did do that twice.
We did it under the existing zone.
No. No, we didn't, correct?
No.
What you're looking to do now.
No, it was all part of the overall study.
Right. Correct. Correct?
No, it was done under the...
Residential-
MR 50. Right.
Residential can't go there right now under the current zoning. So in the RFPs, my understanding is when the RFPs went out...
I didn't say it could.
No, but...
What I simply said was change the zone first. Put out a request for development under the zoning that's beneficial to the village and see what happens.
Right, but my answer to your question was, my understanding was, it went out with the understanding that the zoning would be changed to accommodate what a developer could meet there.
It was included in
It
the
was
article.
included in,
Again, we put the cost for the cost. We could change the development. So the developer,
this is fine.
they have the financial capability.
Yeah, I don't think you're listening though, Bob. The RFP went out with the understanding that the zone would be changed. So it went under the perfect circumstances.
Not once, twice.
Not once, but twice.
You're right, and here's the Goldstein sitting here arguing for his own change that has to be approved here.
So,
Well, the village still has control. There's no zone change as of yet.
Right.
Until this board votes, there's no zone change. So if I may say, if you change the zone, a developer could come in with something you don't like. The village still has control because the developer doesn't have the zone change at this point, which is typically how it works. Typically, it works that way, that a project comes in and then the zone is molded or changed to fit the particular project so that you know what you get. Whereas if you do the zone change first, you don't necessarily know what you're going to get.
You're perfectly that unfortunately, though, you're in front of you now, a lot of developers, they can develop something that we want, because they haven't.
But developers, yeah, but developers know that, Bob. When they come in here, you know, zone changes happen every day. So,
I know 3 developers in New Jersey
Br-
that would have been interested in the project, but refused to spend a year and a half, 2 years changing.
yeah, that seems far-fetched for me, because I know that the contractors that I've spoken to, I mean, they do this every day. They know that zone changes are done all the time, you know, to fit a project. So, thank you.
You know,
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, just briefly. The Journal News reported there were 20 vacant stores, and they were quoting Supervisor St. Lawrence. Well, I want to tell you, I've been working with the downtown committee, and I physically went all over Lafayette and Chestnut, and there are less than 10 vacancies, so let's not talk about 20 or 18. It's less than 10. It's way too many, but it's less than 10. Okay.
Thank you. Jean?
Okay, hi, I'd like to know exactly what points of the Rockland County Planning Board's recommendations were actually met. They came back here saying they made some changes to their plan. I would like to know point by point which recommendations were met by the Rockland County Planning Board. Do you have that in front of you?
With regards to?
To the zone change.
To the zone change. Josh?
Yes.
Thank you.
Rockland County Planning Department had submitted a letter dated October 10th, 2013. We provided responses to each of their comments as part of the submissions to the village. The first comment from the Planning Department, they talked about the overall density, the residential density. In their opinion, they thought that 111 units was too big, and so the response there is that the development has actually been reduced in scope and scale to 92 units, so that we responded to that particular issue. The second comment they raised, review shall be completed by New York State DOT, and all permits obtained. We agree with that. Yes, if in the event that we need to coordinate with DOT, we would do that. The third comment they have, the parking standard with respect to 1.5 units, 1.5 spaces per unit with a combination of on-site and off-site. The zoning petition must specify the off-site parking arrangement at site plan approval, and that is something that we agree with, that that's a reasonable approach, and that while we're providing a ratio of 1.31 per every unit, that leaves an additional 17 spaces off-site, and that there are opportunities within the village to fulfill that as part of site plan approval process. The fourth comment they raised, the proposed multifamily residential building must comply with all requirements of the New York State Uniform Fire Prevention and Building Code. While we've responded to that, that's not a zoning or planning issue, but of course we're going to comply to any and all code requirements under New York State with respect to building code. The last comment that the county had raised was that a review must be completed by County of Rockland Fire and Emergency Services, the village fire inspector, the Suffern Fire District, to ensure that there is sufficient maneuverability on site for emergency vehicles. We have no issue with that type of review being conducted as part of a site plan review, and that's the most appropriate forum for that type of review. Those were the comments raised by the county, and those are our responses.
Thank you.
It just sounds a lot like a lot of these are going to be done after the fact of the zone change vote. I wish it would, these minor details would be, determined prior to the vote, such as the fire and the DOT and all, they're mentioning that now, so should it be done now?
Okay, the process is, Jean, is that if the project goes ahead, that they have to comply with all of these recommendations from the planning board in order to go forward with the project.
Can you tell me
So
that-
the developer has to keep that in mind when he's going forward with this project, that he can't do a project without complying with this.
Can you tell me if and when the last traffic study was taking place on Orange Avenue?
I don't know. What's,
John has it.
John, you have the exact date on that?
As part of the process, I don't have the exact date, but there were, last August, as part of the initial submission, there was a traffic study prepared by Mazer Engineering that reviewed the proposed zone change, and that study was reviewed and commented on by the village's planner and their traffic engineer, and responses were provided back to the village, I believe, in either October or November, again, as part of an ongoing evaluation, as part of the State Environmental Quality Review Act. It's the seeker process that the village needs to go through as part of the evaluation of the zone change. And all of those reports are, I believe, are all on file here at the village.
Without getting into all the environmental issues, the traffic report was accepted as complete by DOT. They acknowledged that the traffic proposed from this would be less than the commercial development would by the standard multipliers. And the traffic report recommended some mitigation in terms of the signalization of the signals to start to simulate some of the existing problems, not necessarily the problems from this. So traffic's been fully evaluated. It will be reevaluated as we go through the site plan.
Thank you, John.
And just one more question, regards to the village's planning board, what recommendations did they ask for and have they been met?
Yes. They have, again, same...
Is that in writing? Where is that?
Yeah.
Where?
Sure it is.
Where can we obtain that?
Do you want a copy?
Sure.
Yep.
And usually I thought with public hearings that at the beginning of the meeting, we would read off the actual verbatim of the zone change. I don't recall that happening this evening. I was hoping that maybe you could read it to the public, please. Thank you.
Sure. You want to read it, Bob?
Sure.
Thank you.
Do you have it?
Let me find it.
Here.
I have it.
Got it?
Please take notice, the Board of Trustees of the Village of Suffern proposes to adopt a local law amending sections 266-6 and 266-22, the Schedule of General Use Regulations of the Code of the Village of Suffern, by adding thereto a new zoning district to be known as the Transit Development District, TDD, high-rise multiple family residences at a maximum density of 75 dwelling units per acre, and by amending the zoning law and zoning map of the Village of Suffern to rezone properties along the east side of Orange Avenue and the north side of Chestnut Street, which properties are known as and identified on the tax map of the Village of Suffern and Town of Rampo as Section 54.35, Block 2, Lots 6, 7, 8, 10, and 29, and which properties are located at 120, 122, 128, and 130 Orange Avenue and 33 Chestnut Street in the Village of Suffern. Please take further notice that the public hearing will be held at the Village of Suffern Municipal Building, 61 Washington Avenue, Suffern, New York, on September 3rd at 6:30 p.m. Obviously, this is continued from then. And please take notice that copies of the full text proposed local law are available at the office of the village clerk, 61 Washington Avenue, Suffern, New York. I'll note that it does say 75 in here, but the proposed law is maximum density of 65.
Okay, would anybody else like to speak? Sure.
My name is Deborah Munitz. I actually live in the village of Montebello. I've been here since 1993. I'm also here representing my mother. I have a power of attorney. Her name is Sandra Bentley. She lives at 122 Parkside Drive. I came here back in 1993 and I invested in this community, and when I invested in it because of Suffern. I did a lot of work. I basically sat down with the maps, I drew it out, I looked at the number of parks, I looked at the transit. It was very important to me because I worked in the city, and I commuted in and out of the city for at least the first 8 years that I was up here. So for me, Suffern is indeed sort of the nexus of this area. A lot of people share the 10901 zip code, and there's a very strong identity. I have two major concerns. I don't I don't want to say that I'm against this, because I think that that's never helpful. I think the issue is progress needs to be made. We all know that progress needs to be made in Suffern. I'm just really concerned about how this particular zone change is actually being looked at, and how this planning is taking place. I'm not familiar, I haven't heard, and I usually keep my ear pretty close to the ground on when the last master plan was developed for the village of Suffern, and I have a major concern that this zone change is being considered outside of that context. That's something that should be done, every 5 to 10 years and updated on a regular basis, and should account for this if this is the right decision. I've spent a lot of time fighting against large-scale multifamily developments outside in the rural areas, and I've always said that the place for them is closer to Route 59, so I'm not opposed to it per se. My concern is that the village of Suffern, is this right-scaled, and there's a lot of different projects going on, and I don't see how they tie together. And I'm somebody who lives here, and I got my mother to invest in this community in the village of Suffern, and I see a tremendous amount of problems with the village. I try to use the village. I always tell everybody, go to the Lafayette Theater. I organize the film festival here in April because, the goal is, I think we all need to focus more and make this more of a village center. But my concern is I don't see how this particular project is going to make it a village center because of its orientation as new apartments. And I see that the fact that, the major reason for the zone change is to allow for these apartments. And I do see all these other apartments, and I have to say, quite frankly, I think a lot of them have been very ugly and ill-planned. And my major concern is that, how does that make me, somebody who's been living here all my life, who really desperately wants to spend my time and my money in this village, what does that do for me? How is this bringing new life in? I think that there are, a lot of different projects going on, and I'm concerned that it's going to take a lot of the problems that I'm facing, interacting and spending money in the village of Suffern, and make it worse. And I'm just concerned about this being decided in a vacuum, well, I shouldn't say a vacuum, but, by unto itself without a larger plan. I've heard some very interesting plans that have come up from other areas about ways to revitalize the community. I think you have to start with what is the vision for Suffern. And I know that in terms of my vision for Suffern, when I came to this area, I always said, okay, we have our natural environment. We have Harriman, okay? We have all of these great facilities. We have the transit that gets people in and out of the city, okay? We have places to go, but people don't go there. Why don't people go to Harriman more? Why don't people go up Sloatsburg? We have a lot of traffic pattern issues, and I don't know how this is supposed to address that. I'm concerned that if you don't sort of take a look at, the roads and the traffic and really look at it, how is this going to make it better? It could make it worse. When I grew up in Manhattan, I grew up on the Upper East Side. I mean, I grew up in the barrio, and we had 6-story buildings, okay, and that was the tallest. But our community, our neighborhood became the real shishi, high-rent marketplace, and got tremendous amount of redevelopment, renovation, without anybody putting up new massive scale, buildings. And it started because of what was going on with the storefronts first, and cleaning up the neighborhood and fixing the parks and dealing with other broader issues made it a much more desirable place to live. And my concern is that just bringing in more people without addressing the things that are making this undesirable, what kind of people are you going to be attracting? And the zone changes are given specifically because you're trying to encourage someone to make an investment. It's not their right. It's something that, if you come in and buy a property, you have the right to develop within that, whatever it is that you bought, the zone that you bought, but you don't have the right to simply come in and do these things. So it's got to be something that makes sense. And usually, for a village, especially of this size, it makes sense to me that it should be done in the context of a slightly broader plan. And I don't know that it needs to be official master plan, because that's very cumbersome, and that does take a lot of work. But it seems to me that perhaps you guys might be more familiar, because you're looking at all these individual projects, and you may have a vision as to how they're all going to tie together. But I haven't seen any announcements or connection with the community that talks about, how will all the big, what is the vision? How's this all going to tie together? How are you going to bring all these various projects together? How are you going to address what I consider to be some really massive parking issues, really massive flow issues in the town? I know that, even coming here tonight, I had to go park at, across the street at the church. I'm looking at it, like, why do we need more apartments? My mother bought her apartment for $165,000, okay? And Hagen, he's like, there was a time when you can, put down a little money. She just plopped down her money, didn't have to put down anything. And I cannot sell that apartment. It is a 2-bedroom apartment that's been renovated, lovely, and I cannot sell it for $100,000. I'm renting it right now for $1,600, and I can only do that for another year. And the issue is, why won't people come to this area? Why won't people make that investment? And I don't think it's because it's missing another apartment building. And I think that that's really fundamental. So the issue is, I don't see why you would give the zone change for this apartment building. I could see giving a zone change, like, I love the idea of, I happen to have seen the new building that was designed by Wolfgang, or however you pronounce it, and I was really impressed. I was like, wow, that's the kind of stuff that you need going on along Suffern. We need to revitalize the downtown area and do those kinds of projects, because it just makes it interesting. You need more working people. I had a good friend, the Simons, who came in and they redeveloped an existing home and made it into an office building, and they got a zone change. And you know what? It fits in. It fits in with the community. They bring more people in here. There's no impact on the school system. I think that, we could be doing that, 100-fold over and make and drive business here in the village of Suffern. When you look at really interesting places that sustain, village communities that really sustain, tourism, you want quaint.
I'm going to have to ask you to wrap it up. We have other people who want to speak, and I want to make sure I give everybody a chance. So if you could just give your final comments, that would be great.
I think that the key things that I'm saying, it's not that I'm saying don't do this. I'm saying don't do this now, and don't do this without, I think, better engaging with the community and sharing, or perhaps even, possibly you might have to go back to, you've got this great planner here, he's telling me he likes this particular project, but I also know that he's probably very skilled and could be doing a little bit more. I'd like to see how this is going to give back more than just to a bunch of new people. And the other issue is, maybe you put some constraints on the people coming in. I'd rather see 111 really small apartments with no children, no impact on Ramapo Central, so that everybody's here with no kids and they've got money to spend on restaurants and to do things. Maybe we need, bike parks or something, something that's going to connect us and get people out and, get more things that are going to bring people into the city for the day to come and spend time. How can we take this zone change, and if you're going to basically barter a zone change for a commitment to invest, how do we make it something that not only works for them, but works for Suffern? Because if it works for Suffern, it will work for the developers. Let's not kid ourselves. Anything that revitalizes Suffern is going to work for these guys, because they have money to spend, and they can go buy the next building before I can afford to buy the next building, or before you can afford to buy the next building. So I'm saying, don't vote on this tonight, okay? Do this, and get the community back together, maybe for a workshop rather than a public hearing, and actually sit down and share with those who, are minded and respectful, a way to do this.
I appreciate you.
Thank you.
I I just wanted to let you know the last designation study was done in 2009, just because that was part of your first question.
I'm sorry, can you repeat
The
that?
designation study was done in 2009.
A designation study, a designation study for this specific
This
zone
specific,
change?
yes.
But what I'm saying is, the question that I had was not on
The
this zone
master
change.
plan?
Yeah, that was my question.
John, what was the last?
2010.
They don't have one. Yeah,
I know, but we did have a,
You have area plans.
right.
Comprehensive plan.
Comprehensive plans.
See, I really believe it, and I've spent a lot of time, that this type of zoning, this is a very big thing, and it's done, the theory is it's being done for a reason, is better done in that context, and if you don't want to do it officially, you should at least be doing it, you should at least be going through the thought process and spending the time doing the work.
I do have one suggestion that I think would be great. Mr. Meehan
I was thinking the same
heads up
thing.
the downtown committee, which addresses quite a few of the things that you're not privy to know, because I guess you don't know about the committee. So perhaps
They're talking
if
about
you
tourism,
could,
they're talking about all kinds of
call
great stuff.
Virginia and leave your information, perhaps you can attend some of those downtown committee
I
meetings.
actually would, and I know that it's been probably a good 6 to 8 years since I've tried, but I know that in the past, when I've tried and come and offered, I was somewhat shunned for not being a part of the village of Suffern, and I think that is a mistake. I think the village should actually reach out and engage everyone in the 10901 area.
Okay,
the
so
zip
if you
code.
want to call Virginia and give her your information, I'm sure trustee Meehan will give you a call.
Would love to have you. Thank you. Okay, is there anyone else that would like to speak?
Yeah, he's been waiting.
My name is Michael Curley from 84 Orange Avenue. I've followed this project since the beginning, around 2007, 2008, when they were talking about doing an eminent domain. I fought hard against them, someone taking this property on the eminent domain at the time, and it never went through. We had a builder then came in named Cole, who looked at the project for a long period of time, okay? After looking at it for a long time, it wasn't worth it. He backed out of the project. And there were other people that looked at this project also and backed out of this project. I don't know the Goldsteins from outside here. I've spoke at different things. They may not like me, but I thank them for coming and offering us the chance to look at a project. I thank them for saying, hey, I want to invest in Suffern. I want to make it a better place, all right? Lately, something really scared me that happened in Suffern. What happened in Suffern was that the check cashing place closed, okay? Now, when a check cashing place comes in, everyone says, oh, a check cashing place, okay? It sent a real big sign to me, and it hit me in the head real hard, okay? It showed me that we have an extra amount of immigrants in this village over other villages around here, okay? Or some that are predominantly maybe Spring Valley, okay? So those people are just frequenting those businesses, okay? The other businesses there, that guy owned about 20 check cashing places. That's the only one he had to close, okay? I went out, I didn't interrupt you, sir, okay? If you want to I'll bring up a point. You went for a zone change on your house to put more people there, to add it to a two-family, you didn't get it. Please, I don't interrupt you, don't interrupt me, okay? All right, my fear with Suffern is that I think it's important that they come to an agreement with the school system. If they don't, then I would stand up here and I'd fight them vehemently against it, okay? But if they can come to agreement with the school system, I am for this project 100%, because I feel at this point we need it, okay? I've been in Suffern for years and years. I've come to meeting for years and years. As I said before, I ran for mayor in 1993. I got second place, okay? So, but, I mean, some of the other, it's not just that, and when people, I got an email today, all right? I got an email from two people running for trustee, okay? And they said there's gonna be, Suffern's we're all gonna pay higher taxes, okay? I've looked at paperwork, and I haven't seen that anywhere, okay? We may not be happy at the higher rate we're getting, okay? We may not be happy that it's at the moon, but we are not going to be paying higher taxes because it's there, okay? The fire department came in and says there's going to be no extra fire services or costs directed to it, and so did the police department years ago, right? So, if it goes or doesn't go, I think it's important to show respect and everyone tell the truth, or at least find out the facts before you open up and give misinformation, all right? I am up here, not you, sir.
Okay, thank you. All right, Mr. Morris. You were the guy that sent out the misinformation, by the way, right now. Okay, misinformation. Now.
Okay.
Suffern has a...
We're staying on the zone change. She's talking, okay. We're staying on the zone change.
Suffern, if they do a zone change here, will get higher fire inspection fees. We'll get more water fees, okay? And we'll get more taxes, not less taxes, all right? Right? I lived with a nice lady said she lived where her mother lived on Parkside Drive there. I lived at 127 and 131 years ago, okay? It's a beautiful neighborhood. If I'm not mistaken, the Goldsteins built it, okay? Years back, all right? So let's look at what they did or didn't do. Now,
They shouldn't go up again.
okay, and at one point, people talk about a traffic study there, okay, or not, okay? You have to recognize there were 5 or 6 businesses, or the house, you have the security firm, you also had the restaurant on the bottom with the 27 SROs, okay? Those rooms, certain ones of those rooms have a right to have children go to school in that building. I've already looked into it. I know some of the sizes of the rooms. And based on our law, the state law, you can have more than one person in those SRO rooms, all right? Number one. Number two, you can viably have more traffic coming through those streets, okay, as is than if you build 91 apartments, okay? There was a day when that block would do 500 cars a day, all right? And it can again. And if we don't change the zone, it has a legal right to do that, okay? Plus you have the security company who has a legal right to do his cars. Plus you have the store there, okay? Plus if this goes through this zone change, only because it should go through, because it's good for Suffern, okay? You also then, they buy the building, they clean up everything underneath, okay? Those people are gonna have a hell of a time ever selling those things, and you're gonna stick with a bar, you know, as is, with how many cars coming through. And I say in the future, more cars, all right? But, okay, I won't bother you no more, and thank you for your politeness.
Thank you.
My name's Erica Dyer. I live on Riverside Drive. My main question is that I have a child who graduated. You know where my child is living now? In New York City, because he doesn't want to commute from here into there. There is no nightlife here. And the thing of it is a lot of the kids would rather live in the city than come out here. If you're going to have the apartment buildings built here, all right, they're going to have children in them. And I don't disagree. Everyone should have children. But I disagree as far as the traffic trying to get out of Suffern on a Friday night is heck. Because I can't get to my house on Riverside because I can't get down 59. I can't come up Orange Ave. It's really hard. And if we're bringing in these cars, and we're going to have 1.5 parking spaces for these people, you know, how are they going to come back and forth? Are they going to really park cars there? I doubt it, because most of the kids, like in the city, don't have a vehicle. But I think the other thing that we have to worry about is we have to look at what is really living and commuting and doing the business here in Suffern. Suffern is a great place. We moved in here almost 20 years ago. We love it. It's close to the city, it's close to the mountains. But I think we need to look at who is living here, who is spending the money here, and the businesses that are here. And there are actually 12 hair salons. Do you need 12 hair salons in Suffern? I mean, come on.
10. I
Excuse
counted
me?
them. There were only 10.
No, there's more. I'll count them with you. I promise you.
Tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock.
I'm up at 5
Well, we can say that we have the best hair in the county.
You know what? I don't think that's really important. No. I think we need to look at who is in Suffern. And I think that's where the main issue is. I think we need to look who's going to be paying the taxes, who's going to be working on everything. If our taxes aren't going up, God bless you. But I think we really need to look at a lot more.
Thank you.
King's Joe.
I can't, everybody else spoke. I'm going to tell them that we have...
My name is Joe Varano, live in 10 West Meegan-Corrigan, Suffern, New York. I've been living in Suffern since 1957. And since that time, I've been dealing with Jimmy Rice. I mean, I could write a book so thick about the village of Suffern, what happened and everything else. I used to eat in Jimmy Rice for 20 years, once a month. You know how much talk I had to him? I talked to that wall. He listened to me, but never give me an answer. Over and over. Never give me an answer. So I give up. So what I want to say, I don't care. I'm 83 years old now. I was 22 when I moved to Suffern. You think I care? It's a wrong thing. He wants to convince me that the tax is going to go down. The tax has been going up and up and up. They never go down. And that's all. You know, I was talking to him day and night. With every mayor. Every single mayor. With him, with Rella, we used to go and eat, and everything else. With every mayor. I never missed a meeting. I used to go every single meeting. And I know what's going on. I could write books so thick. That's all what I want to say.
Thank you.
Do whatever you want. Got nothing to worry about. How many more years I got to go?
Lots of them. You're not going anywhere.
I'm 83 years old.
You're not going anywhere anytime soon.
You're kidding.
That's right. Okay, has everyone had a chance to speak? Absolutely. Can you push that? Thanks, Ira.
My name is Harold Greenhead. I live at 161 Doxbury Lane. I'm personally in favor of the project. I have 5 rental units over here on Park Place. And many people said, well, that's going to be more competition for me. I said, the more competition, the better it is. I said, that will entice people to move here. This project will bring people in with foot traffic. Everybody's talking about cars and traffic and so forth. I believe this project will bring in more foot traffic and not car traffic, and that's what we need in the town of Suffern. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. One more?
My name is Debbie Tapp, I live over on Oakdale. I just want to ask one question, a zoning question. Yay! Are we talking about zoning for just this building, or are we talking for a larger area, like over on Howard Place, Wayne Avenue?
The zoning tonight, we're speaking about specific to this project on Orange Avenue.
Just this parcel of property. That's all I'm asking.
Thank you.
Jim?
One more.
No.
Silvio Conti, I live in the Village, 3 Cross Street. The question I have is, I'm for the project. If the school board goes for it, I'm for the project. But if the project doesn't happen, what happens to that property? I live in the Village, I have to walk past that blighted, horrible area every day. What happens? That's my question.
Okay. I don't have that, obviously, we don't have that answer for you, but I'm sure it's a concern for all of us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Everyone has had a chance to speak. I would like to get, okay.
My name is Ellen Kilroy. We've been here several times, and I just listened to the acting village attorney, I'm sorry, I don't know your name, tell us that when we make these zoning changes, we generally know what's going to happen to the property. And I was here the night that the zone change happened on, I forget whether it's 66 or 67 Wayne Avenue, that where we were supposed to have some kind of townhouses, condominiums, or whatever. And so that never happened, okay? We still have that eyesore on Wayne Avenue. I don't know whether we've had any increase in the taxes that the property owners pay there or not. So then we passed the zoning change on Washington Avenue, where the burned out building has been for lots of years. And so we passed a zoning change knowing that there was some project in the wind for this, okay? Well, we still have the burned out building there. So then tonight, you say, when we pass a zoning change, we generally know what the project is going to look like. I assume that these previous two people that were supposed to do something with the property also had a plan, but then for some reason, the plan fell through. So if something happens, if the school district doesn't agree, or I don't know what could happen, okay? And we have now changed the zone. How does that help us? Because I haven't seen any help to my family, my neighborhood, with those other previous zone changes. And I live in walking distance to the village of Suffern. I am the foot traffic. I walk through that village all the time to exercise. I'd stop in whenever I wanted, okay? My neighborhood has at least 50 families. And with Berkeley Square, there's lots of potential foot traffic in the village of Suffern. So if we change this zone, what's going to happen if they don't build it? How is that going to impact us down the road?
I don't know about how it impacts, but what I can tell you is in terms of the logistics of it, there's a couple things. One, as you said, I said generally you know what's coming. With this, actually in the law, we added in a provision that if there are no building permits within a certain amount of time, that the law would be automatically repealed. That would keep the developer kind of under the gun, so to speak, to, if they were able to go forward, to proceed. If they were not and didn't get the building permits, it would go back to the current zoning. The other issue is, especially for a project of this nature, if something were to happen, again, a public hearing could be held if it were appropriate and to change the zone either back to what it is now or to something else. But, I can't answer for what will happen for the future, but the law as written does have kind of a safety net, so to speak, in that if it doesn't go forward promptly, the law would be repealed. Now, the board could revisit that, but...
This particular project?
Yeah. Well, it's for the law,
We put safety nets in this particular project.
And what is that time limit?
The change will have it such that it affects this project.
Correct. And what is the time limit on that?
I believe it's a year from the date of passage.
And if a previous zoning change happened, could that also be reversed?
Are you talking about other areas?
Yeah.
Yeah, no. If they didn't have the provision in the agreement, then the answer is no. If it had the provision in the agreement, then the answer is yes.
Then it cannot be changed?
Correct.
If there's no provision?
Correct.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Because Jack's bringing it up later. See, it's on the agenda.
Gary
I'm sorry.
Gansos, 35 Terrace Avenue. The first question is for the village attorney. You're talking about retroactively repealing, reversing the zone change if something didn't work out the way that it was agreed to in the first place. To me, it sounds a little backwards. What have we learned from these housing projects that have gone up previously? Talk about, I guess it was Wayne Avenue, Chestnut Street. Have there been studies done to determine whether, and we talk about, this is what Suffern needs. How do we know that? have we done any studies to determine whether these housing projects that have been developed previously as a result of zone changes have increased foot traffic? To the previous woman's point, she's seen it firsthand. I've seen it firsthand. How can we safely assume that this is yet another project that will not increase foot traffic or redevelop or revitalize the town? Why can't you commit to us that there will be a study done to determine what the density is on those others, what the rentalship, or if they're purchasing, has the business increased as a result of these projects? Why can't we use that as a measurement? And I think it's incumbent upon all of us and for the village board to show us and sort of prove to us that these types of projects do in fact increase business. And right now, I don't think that I'm convinced. So I guess my question is, will there be a study? And if that study has happened, what were the results?
Okay, unfortunately, because this is a question you're just throwing out to the board at this particular moment, and we've not had a chance to discuss it, it will be something I can promise you that we will discuss. I will bring it up, with the board, but we're gonna need some time to, that's why we're having this public hearing. Everything that we have tonight, we will take into consideration and obviously, try to work to have, this done. But we have one study we have done already. I think, John, do you want to speak to that, or?
There's a study done.
One of the issues that we evaluated as part of the documentation that we submitted was an evaluation of kind of the discretionary spending that may result as a result of the zone change and implementation and construction of the development. 91 or 92 new households at the projected rent means you would have an income of approximately between $70,000 and $80,000 per household. And what that equates to over the course of a year is approximately $2.5 million in discretionary spending that's spent in either Suffern or in the local economy.
Yeah, but I don't think that's what you're asking for. He's asking us for the other projects that were on Chestnut Street and how much foot traffic did that create? Is that what I'm...
Is that your question, sir?
I understand, but when I'm
Mr.
specifically
Antos, was that your
responding
question?
I think we'd all like to see a study that would indicate that there have been positive results as previous development projects like this.
Not going forward, yeah, that's what I thought.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is not an answer to his question. What he wants to know is in the projects in the past, how much has that increased foot traffic and discretionary spending in our village?
I can't speak to those other projects. I can speak to the planning rationale behind transit-oriented development, having it in proximity to a downtown that's within walking distance. And I think we're within 400 to 500 feet from Lafayette Avenue, and that's within a very convenient walking distance. Typically, they use a quarter-mile radius as kind of the TOD standard, and there are a number of planning studies, and you can rely upon your own planner to reference those with respect to the types of foot traffic and economic spin-off that the village could expect as part of a TOD type of development.
Right, thank you. Okay, thank you so much. Okay, if there's no one else that would like to speak.
I just want a legal clarification on what Rob said.
We're hollering.
Come to the microphone, Jim. I'm allowing it only because you're a former mayor.
Don't let Hagen hear that.
I know.
I was always told that once you zone a property, the zone stays with the property.
I think what you're thinking of is a variance.
Is it a variance or a zone?
Yeah, I mean, arguably it goes for zones, but just like we're here for a zone change, it can be changed. I think what you're equating is if you're at the ZBA and there's a variance for, let's say, two-family, oftentimes people say, well, just give it to us, and when we sell, it'll go back to one family.
I thought it was both situations.
That's not the case, yeah.
Okay, thanks, Rob.
Thank you, Jim. Okay, has everyone got a chance to speak? Okay, very good. I'm going to ask Orange Avenue developers if they'd like to make any comment before we proceed with the action on the hearing. You're okay? Okay, great. Is there any comments from the board?
The only thing I would say is that we had a hearing tonight, we heard from a lot of people, this is a continuation of the hearing, so we've already heard from a lot of people before we heard from a lot of people this evening, so, and we do hear from people and we listen to them.
Okay, so the board can proceed in two ways. I would like to recommend that we keep the hearing open so that people would be able to comment going forward if, in fact, the school board does reach an agreement with Orange Avenue developers. I think that's the fair way to handle this, so that we have complete information on the entire project. Or the board may decide to put it to a vote this evening, given the information that they have.
One other, you could close the public hearing, but then put it over for a vote.
Right, or we can have a continuation of the public hearing, and we can hold that over until, well, we'd have to give a date specific, so it doesn't have to be renoticed, but, I would say that we probably shouldn't need to have any more comments until we have more information.
Do you want to be heard on that, maybe? I don't know. Did you want to be heard on that as the applicant?
As the mayor started out the evening, and she advised that the pilot agreement is the pilot agreement, and it's not even Suffern's pilot agreement, it's the school district's pilot agreement. I don't understand why there would be a need to keep the public hearing open just on that basis. The pilot agreement, as you know, the board has made it very clear that you have no intention of voting until and unless there is an agreement with the school district. We are working diligently to try to get an agreement with the school district. Again, as I said, we're waiting on the district to respond to our latest offer because they have yet to do so. But one thing has nothing to do with the other, as the mayor made very clear this evening. Therefore, if the only reason you're thinking about for keeping the public hearing open is to wait on the school district, that's not a reason to keep it open.
I beg to differ with you, Mr. Emanuel. I do believe that the taxpayers who pay taxes in this village and also pay school taxes have the right to have all of the information that they can before a decision is made on this, and I've made that quite clear. I'm not in a position to support this project without the agreement of the school district, and I think there's a lot of people who feel the same exact way, and they should have that right after the information is in from the school district and there's a final decision. The taxpayers have the right to know.
Mayor, I have no disagreement with that whatsoever. But as you've said over and over again to many, many speakers, okay, we're not here to talk about the pilot agreement.
We were here to have a zone change.
We're here to talk about the zone change. Right. And
this is a public hearing for the zone change.
Absolutely.
Okay, but that doesn't mean we can't discuss how it impacts our village taxpayers.
Mayor, you've obviously made up your mind, so I'm not going to go any further on this.
I'm sorry that you feel that way. Okay. So, do you have anything else to say, applicant? No. Okay, board, how do you wish to proceed?
I'd make a motion to keep the hearing open. It's just a matter of, the hearing's open, and some people who weren't able to make it tonight can come to that hearing, and there's obviously people who didn't make it tonight who would like it, and the more input we have, the better, and so I'd like to keep it open.
And I'll second that, providing that we don't have repeat speakers unless it's on a completely different subject. I think that we heard a lot of great things tonight. I think it's important that we all keep our minds perfectly open and we listen to what everyone has to say. This could potentially be a phenomenal project for the village of Suffern. It's important that we all think about it and do the right thing, of course, which is why we all sit here for many hours. And, once the school board and the Goldsteins get themselves in the right place together, I think it'll be, I think we'll be in a good place too. So I think it's important that if we do keep it open for more public, I think that we need to make sure that we don't have repeat comments. Go along.
Okay, I have a motion and I have a second.
Yes.
Want to pick a date?
Yeah, we need to pick a date.
You want to pick October?
We have to do a date specific, Virginia. If we don't, we have to renotice it.
We do October 1 or?
I am leaving for vacation on September 17th.
If we say October 1, that's the next one.
Okay.
Do you have a date in mind that you,
Do you, yeah.
October 1st would be our workshop.
is the next workshop, but you have,
October.
Do you choose a different date?
We'd really appreciate something sooner than that. The school
Okay.
district, as I understand it, the school...
Wait.
Okay.
It should be quiet in here.
Ladies and gentlemen, can we please, I can't hear the applicant's attorney.
Yeah. I understand the school district is the school board has a meeting on Tuesday?
I'm on
Right, so
vacation on the
if we could
17th.
have a special meeting of this board after the 16th, because that would be their next opportunity to vote on something.
Okay, unfortunately, trustee Corrigan will be on vacation, and we will not be able to convene without her, as Mr. Byrne has to abstain from voting.
Okay.
the 22nd.
I am flying home the morning of the, what's that Tuesday, Rob? And I-
23rd. The 23rd.
God willing, and Newark's on time, I'll be back in the village at 11 in the morning, so I could do a meeting that evening if need be.
23rd, I'm out, so that's...
So the 22nd, right?
22nd, you're back on the 23rd.
Oh, goodness, okay.
20.
How about the 24th?
What's the, let me just look, hold on.
The problem is if they're not ready, then we gotta keep postponing.
Yeah, then,
Yes.
And it's just, it starts again.
right. But I mean, at least we'll know the school board will be met.
Okay, the 24th is good?
No, the 24th is Rosh
Oh, Rosh Hashanah, so then, it can't be the 23rd, I'm not going to be here. I'm not going to be in town.
Or the 1st.
It would have to be the 29th, 30th, and at that point, it might as well be the 1st.
October 1st.
What day is it? 7th. Oh, she's away.
They're out of contract on the 1st, Virginia.
Frank has just announced that he's on vacation
From the 23rd to the 30th.
to the 30th.
Of October? September?
September. Okay, Mr. Hagen is not here from the 23rd to the 30th.
Unless you want to vote tonight.
No.
When are they convening?
Yeah, can I...
Yeah, they're
can I make-
probably only going to have
can I make a
discussion, they're not going to be
suggestion?
ready by that week.
Yeah. Can I suggest, let's take a flyer and that the school, because the school district has indicated that this is very important to them as well, and they may very well, they have held public, special meetings in the past, they may very well hold a special meeting for this. I haven't spoken to them, I don't know, but it's entirely possible, and we'll certainly ask them to. If this board can schedule something for before Deputy Mayor Corrigan goes away, and then if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But at least we'll have the opportunity.
She leaves on the 17th, Ira, that's just not,
Well, okay, so,
that's not enough time for us to let people know that we have a decision and what it
We do the
is.
16th.
well, no, if we can get the school district to have
Yeah, I
a
mean,
meeting
if you-
between now and the
They
16th.
don't meet until the 16th.
Do you anticipate they would actually vote on something before the 16th?
They might very well. This is an important issue to them as well. They've
Yeah, I did not get that indication from the superintendent today, I have to be honest with you.
Well, that's dandy. Okay.
Yeah.
And maybe we've all been wasting our time here for a long, long time because of the school district.
Yeah, I didn't get the indication that they were ready to take a vote on it. I think that their feeling was that the numbers, was the exactly word for verbatim, how I got it from them was, we're getting to closer together, but we're not there yet.
23rd during the day. That's a Tuesday.
I don't know what to tell you, Mayor.
The 23rd, you're out all day.
I'm out
During
there,
the
I'm
day.
not even.
Yeah, Mayor,
Yes,
can we hold it on the 16th?
that's the date that the school board is going to have their meeting, which is in the evening,
And their
correct?
meetings are usually earlier than your meetings.
I'm sorry?
Their meetings are usually earlier in the day than your meetings.
Oh, I thought their meetings are in the evenings.
No, they've held meetings at 5:30. If we set a meeting for the 16th at, say, 8 o'clock, that should give them an opportunity.
And when's Frank leaving?
Frank apparently
Frank's
is
the
leaving on the
following week.
23rd.
Okay, that's perfect.
So 16th, you can do 7:30.
Why is there nothing in this folder? Oh, it's connected.
Why what?
Because they're out of time. All right, I think the best thing to do, with the understanding that, we could set it for the 16th, but we need to know, with the understanding that obviously if the school district does not come up with an agreement on the 16th, that there's no reason to have a public hearing because we had it tonight. There's no new information. Okay, so for the sake of giving the benefit of the doubt that there will be an agreement, we'll set it for, not tentatively, we'll set it for the 16th. And if there's no agreement, we'll, under the understanding that we will pick a new date for the public hearing. But developer needs to know it's not going to be until October 1st. If there's no agreement by the 16th, we have no more dates. Because Mr. Byrne has to abstain.
You want to say the 16th at 7:30?
Can we do a little earlier? What time is the school board meeting? Do you have any idea?
The school board, we've been attending school board meetings at like 5:30. So if we set this public hearing for 8 o'clock, that should give them plenty of time.
Way too late.
How about 7:30?
7:30.
Sure.
You can sleep on the plane. You didn't laugh.
If they're doing it at 5:30, there's no reason why we can't do it at 7.
That's
No,
fine.
7?
We're going to do 7 o'clock,
7 o'clock, fine.
okay? On the 16th?
October 15th?
16th.
September.
September 16th.
Will you do a roll call if it's canceled?
I 100% will, Jim. I will nixle it, we'll robocall it, we'll put it on the website. Please check the website. We will put it out on every avenue we have to let you know that it has been canceled. Feel free to call Village Hall. But, potentially if I talk to Dr. Adams and he tells me that it's not on the agenda and then they're not going to be discussing it, then I'll know sooner rather than later. Otherwise, I'm really not going to know until the 11th hour. So it's going to be a little tough.
September 16th.
Okay, but I'm sure the developer will let us know as soon as he knows, if there's going to be any conversation with regards to trying to come to an agreement. Yes? Okay.
September
All right.
16th, what time?
It's 7 p.m.
7 p.m.?
Yes. Okay, so I have a motion, I have a second. I'm going to do a roll call on this. Mr. Hagen.
What are we voting on?
We're going to continue the public hearing until September 16th at 7 p.m.
Yes, I'll agree to that.
Mrs. Corrigan? Yes. Mr. Byrne?
I just think that since this is just a procedural adjournment of the matter, I don't think I have to abstain from this vote, so I'll vote yes.
Okay, and Mr. Meehan?
Yes.
And I vote yes, motion is carried, public hearing, I need a motion to, we did that already? Now we can adjourn, we're adjourned from the public hearing. Okay. Phew. Thank you all so much for coming.